It's time for Planet Green.
We have launched.
We've completely launched. We've started the show, and it is Planet Green Trees. We're about to embark 2 hours of medical marijuana and marijuana reform in Michigan.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the Planet Green Trees show is underway with your host, Attorney Michael Komorn.
Alrighty.
We have launched.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are starting. We're launching Planet Green Trees, episode number 534. Today's it's October 7th, 2021. Welcome. Today's episode is entitled the Canna Jam Slam. A lot of Canna Jam action happening around here at Komorn Law. We're very excited, and we're going to talk about that a lot tonight and
A lot of Canna Jam.
continue the energy that has been built up and talk it all out. But we have some fantastic activities that have come together for a fantastic show for your listening pleasure. And let me first just throw those out there as a little tease, and then we can introduce everyone and get right at it. Tonight, we will be talking about, amongst other things, Canna Jam.
Yeah. If you don't like having fun, don't come.
I think that's a great topic.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
main topic, we will be talking about Canna Jam. I can promise you that. Tom Beller from Echoes of Pink Floyd and Real Leaf Solutions. A platinum sponsor will be calling in. Tom is he's the Pink in the Pink Floyd, and I like saying this, that when I was thinking about bands to get, the idea of a cover band for Pink Floyd was phenomenal, and they having the B one called Echoes of Pink Floyd, and when we reached out to him, he's like, we have to do that show. So there's a lot of good energy.
The whole Roger Waters David Gilmour split. Do you think he's on?
The whole thing about it is we don't have to deal with that, and all that nonsense. I don't even know if I like some of those
years.
Right, and all right,
Mr. Robar.
and then what came in at the last minute here, and we're very excited about it, is from the Slapstick comedy to really from the Fortunately Cups and probably Hall of Famer Red Wing. Darren McCarty is going to be calling in to talk about the Canna Jam Slapstick Comedy Tour performance. He's going to be performing at Canna Jam.
You may know him from a place or two, maybe hockey or comedy or marijuana. He's a jack of all trades, I think.
He is. He did a fantastic appearance on the Drew and Mike show this week as part of our PR campaign, hyping it up. And that podcast is on, you can find it podcast places. We also have
talking about it on WJR tomorrow night too. He has a WJR show with Sean Belegian.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding.
About 6:30.
And also, we'll talk about the PR stuff in a second. But let me also also on the agenda we have Kelsey and Danielle back from Midwest CannaConcierge,
Yes.
straight out of Ohio. We're going to discuss with them how their events are being planned and if they can align any comparisons to what's taking place in Michigan. Just kidding. And I see joining us is Rob Robar of the Helping Friendly Salve, and he will be, of course, he's one of our sponsors. You can see Rob and all of his helping hand materials at the Canna Jam, which is October 9th. Doors open at high noon, going all the way to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
The topics tonight, amongst other things, are Canna Jam.
Canna Jam.
But I mentioned that. Go to CannaJamFest.com.
Is it really going to only go till 10? I feel like the party.
The park shuts down.
Yeah, but
shuts down.
what does that really mean?
It means that we have to be off the park and there's no playing around, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy, in fact, I'm now pointing you to security to make sure that takes place.
Oh.
Marijuana seizures at the cannabis Canadian border are becoming more prevalent. Let's talk about that maybe. As said, Tom Beller, and then we're also going to be talking with Kelsey and Danielle from the Midwest CannaConcierge. Let's go around the room real quick and introduce everybody because we have a lot of talent surrounding it. We want to make sure everyone is recognized. First, we have the Bunker Boys, Tommy, Justin, and Dan. Did Dan leave? Is Dan still here? Okay.
Dirty Dan is here.
All right, good. Glad he's still here. I thought he would.
They need a gallery view here on Zoom.
We have the one and only Jim Powers of Michigan Parents for Compassion. Jim, welcome, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, everybody. It is good to be here. Looking really forward to Canna Jam on Saturday. I think it's going to be a really great event. I hope everybody will come and see us. And looking forward to a really great show. So glad to be here.
Excellent. And returning from Florida and bringing with her a lot of that Florida man stuff. Just kidding. We're glad to have her back. I was telling her that she's been well missed extremely, and mostly for the intangibles. Tangibles are a huge value. Please welcome Amanda Jocelyn.
Thank you, Michael. I'm super happy to be here. And looking forward to talking about the Canna Jam.
Canna Jam's where it's at. I think in the, although I can't see the Zoom entirely, I think
we need a gallery view going on with the Zoom room. Justin!
Sorry.
Justin, we need a gallery.
Gallery view, please.
Thank you.
On the other side there, though, I do see joining us tonight and someone who's been very, very helpful in the promotion of the Canna Jam, October 9th, CannaJamFest.com. Jamie Lowell, the man responsible for everything.
Hey, awesome to be here. Excited to discuss Canna Jam, and then excited to be at Canna Jam
Yeah.
for the reasons that we will be discussing tonight.
Before we even get close to Canna Jam, I do want to just comment real quickly. I want to thank everyone in the Komorn Law staff. Steve may not be talking to me because we've converted the law practice into an event organizing hotspot. A lot of energy. My good friend Uncle Pete gave me some advice of how to deal with my the people surrounding me as we get into what he called the dark hours before the event, and how to keep the eye on the prize and think about transitioning back to normalcy. But mostly to give acknowledgement to how hard everyone's worked. I kind of compared it to if Komorn Law had gone on like a corporate retreat and we had to play games or like escape rooms and had to figure stuff out together, like how to navigate as a team. We've been able to do that. Less practice of law, but certainly it requires a high level of skill dealing with the state and getting through the approvals, and a lot of curveballs and knuckleballs coming at you from all different directions, and a lot of singles to left field. Not going to back up the middle. But I do want to thank everyone because it's been a long road, especially Steve, who's he's the glue that keeps it all together. Yeah. Plays like called linebacker. No
coach.
Exactly. And of course Jennifer and Allie, and Dan gets a little bit of credit too.
We'll see about that.
Dan's been a little bit overworked. Dan likes to do everything. Keep his hands on everything.
He does.
He's no delegating. Don't talk about trying to get the codes. Just kidding. All right, so that I wanted to say, and really, just if it sounds, I'll leave it on. All right. So we have also. I know we're waiting on Darren McCarty at 8:15. I don't want to get too engaged in this, but let's hear from Rob Robar, who's going to be there. Tell us what we can expect, Rob, from the helping friendly product line. And is he just there? I can't see him.
I think he stepped away for a moment,
right.
so we're going to build suspense on that.
Dun, dun, dun!
I'll tell you, we have some topics here. I thought something that was interesting that came out in the news, which maybe we could just throw out there because there was a MRA bulletin about it. I think it impacts a lot of different people. I don't know, this may be too long to. We can do it in fucking 5 minutes. Maybe.
Oh my.
Let's do this. Let's talk for a minute. Let's talk about Canna Jam, okay? So
Let's do it.
Let's talk a little bit.
Let's do the lineup real quick. First of all, does everyone know who's going to be appearing and playing?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of
We've got
performances actually.
DJ Joey Pistols, aka Joey P.
Pistols. Yep.
So we got him. We got Randy Kaplan.
Yep, Randy Kaplan will be there. He's doing a Dylan set. One of the songs in his repertoire, you may not know this, is the Komorn song.
Yeah, I've heard it.
I don't know if he's going to play it.
I think he will. I think we're going to ask him. Maybe a Bob Dylan-esque
Version of it?
rendition. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. We've got Austin Scott, so that'll be fun.
He's a recording artist too. Tommy will. Yep, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, we've got everyone's, the friend of the show, obviously, Razor Ray. So that's
right.
Razor Ray will put on a great show. And then we've got Darren McCarty, so D-Mac.
Slapstick
we'll be talking to
comedy
him
tour.
here shortly. We've got our own Tommy's band Roadwork.
They're awesome.
Yeah, I
so
can't wait for that.
Everybody should check out Hyped Up live sessions on Facebook. They had a little Canna Jam that aired last night. That was pretty fucking awesome. So check it out. And then we've got Mike Young, and who the fuck
the
is
F
Mike
is
is
he?
Young? Yeah, so that's
Guess
good.
we'll find out.
Yeah,
And then
Gonna.
for DMAC and for Mike Young, there are two other stand-up comedians kind of warming up
Nice.
for them too. So Chrissy Kinney for Darren McCarty, and she's pretty fucking hilarious. I've seen her a couple times too.
Awesome. And then at the very end, the culmination of the entire day, we've got echoes of Pink Floyd, Pink Floyd tribute band, and a huge laser light show.
Winding it up and then down.
Which, I mean, I don't know what could be better to end a wonderful day of
Yeah.
Canna Jam for a bunch of marijuana enthusiasts
It's
than
like the
Pink
grand
Floyd
finale.
and lasers.
at a fireworks show, it's like the grand finale
That's
right there.
That's right. So, Michael, it's a great lineup. You guys did a great job.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy with the lineup. We got a lot of great artists, and just for that reason, people should come out and listen to it in that setting. I'll tell you, I was joking with Jimmy about it because there's a whole Reddit community for like a subreddit for Michigan cannabis world, and I don't know, somehow it got onto that, and I was looking at it, and the comments were, "Is this not MC? Is it MCMA approved?" And they were like, "Well, Jamie Lowe's involved with it, so it must not be." Like, it gave it the clearance and the credibility.
We got our
That's
street
fucking
cred
right.
because Jamie's with us. He's giving us that cred. That's good.
And then the other comment was, and echoes of
You'd
Pink.
be surprised what the lineup looked like if I wasn't around. Go ahead. Sorry.
Probably true. And but the other comment was, other than giving Jamie the street cred that he had vetted the entities involved and just having no MCMA involvement, was that Echoes of Pink Floyd just takes it to another level. That was the other comment. There's a bunch of other thumbs up and stuff, but it was interesting.
Those guys are really fucking awesome. They'll do like Dark Side of the Moon to a T, to like Wizard of Oz playing.
We
They do many different incarnations of their act, and they're all just extremely cool. The Laser Light Show, though, obviously for a beautiful night in October.
It's gonna be sweet.
When we got one of the vendors on board, Oz Cannabis, I suggested to them that we could do this. I think they're of a different generation, just went right over their head. But I thought it'd be perfect. If they listen, for you guys want to be, we'll get you. Well, how about this? We'll play Wizard of Oz.
They're younger guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole thing on YouTube out there that like an actual thing, like synced up.
Oh yeah,
The kids love the
That's
Pink
it.
Floyd.
Listen,
These guys do that. Yeah.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. Listen, on the first conversation, in addition to Tom Beller telling me, Mike, we have to do this show, and we're going to make it right, and we want to sponsor, etc. We joked about syncing up. Oh yeah, we haven't done a Dark Side of the Moon to the Wizard of Oz in a long time, but we can do that. And then I threw out like one of my favorite obscure Pink Floyd songs. Green is the color, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we could do an acoustic set too." Like we should get him on and start talking about Pink Floyd songs. Where is he? He's calling in a little later, right? All right.
Yeah.
And when you started all of this, you promised we'd hear "Shine On You Crazy Diamond."
By him?
Yeah, that's what
Of course.
you told me.
I'm sure. Well, yeah,
I'm just telling
for
you.
sure. I'm
not saying he promised. It.
I'm
saying
assuming,
that's what you said.
That's fair. It's fair. It's good. Rob, why you stepped away? I offered you the opportunity to.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I didn't have the screen up, but Helping Friendly Staff is going to be at the event, and I wanted to have you tell everyone, if they were not interested in some higher level THC products, what they could expect to find from the Rob Robar tent.
Probably what we plan on bringing is pretty much all the newest dispensary grade stuff, which is a high CBG dominant line of products, along with our Hero Project gummies, which are just a really strong full spectrum gummy, along with a bunch of hemp flower if anybody wants to help balance out what they might have going on with the other. I'm a big fan of mixing the two together and kind of selling it that way as far as how to intake, because I really think that kind of helps stretch it out, but also it helps give you that full body buzz I think a lot of people might be looking for in an event like that.
I think this is an important point. I'll tell you why. Because it's clinically proven that the addition of the CBD reduces the effects of the THC. This is some of the the literature
Yep.
says that. And if people are there and they're smoking cannabis all day with high level, and we have, let me just rename all the quality vendors that are going to be there. We've got a botanical company, a state licensed retail center all over the state, but specifically they're in Taoist, Lansing, and Bay City, if I'm not mistaken. Jamie, last time I just said Taoist and you got mad at me. Did I hit them all this time?
Kalkaska, I think.
Kalkaska, yeah.
Okay. We have,
October 9th, they'll be in Ypsilanti at
Kalkaska,
River
That's
Bay
right,
Park.
that's
City,
right.
Or some, it's East Taos and
Are you talking
Lansing.
about where
Where your
botanical companies
bins
are? They are in
Pay attention.
East Taos,
Yes.
Lansing, and Well, the conversation was so wildly different than the reality of it that I didn't really know what you're talking about.
Oh.
I'm moving
East
on. I'm moving
Taos,
on. I'm moving on.
Lansing,
I'm moving
and
on.
Kalkaska.
All right. That's a botanical company. Just whatever you do, don't not know where they're from, okay?
Yeah.
Pure Lapeer, guess where they're from? Lapeer.
Lake Orion.
Where?
They're from Lapeer. Guess where they're going to be October 9th? Ypsilanti. We have Oz Cannabis from Ypsilanti and also Sticky Ypsi.
Where are they from?
They're in other cities, but they started off right there in Ypsilanti.
That's
Yeah.
right. But what I'm saying is that they will, we're hoping to get some menus up, and maybe tomorrow we have some menus up on the website so people can see what kind of selections may be there. But the point is, returning back to Rob, that this phenomena that CBD product can neutralize the so-called effects of psychoactive effects of THC is clinically established, and people may want to consider that. I mean, I think the other question was like at an event like this where people, some people may get there 12, 1, 2, want to stay the whole time. If they're just in cannabis.
Is there a difference?
Go ahead.
When we say it's clinically established, is there a difference between if you're feeling a little anxious from cannabis and you are able to intake some CBD that helps to mellow that out? But if you're high and then you have some of that, is it proven that like reduces how high you are? That doesn't seem right to me. I could see how it could even be how it could even add to the effect.
Well, honestly, I don't really know. I mean, I know that a lot of people I've known who have consumed too much, what I will often tell them is if they have a tincture bottle, like usually THC, maybe not a full spectrum one, because you down a whole bottle of a full spectrum, say a 2,000 milligram, you're getting a pretty good dose of Delta 9. If you down that whole thing at once, but isolate, yeah, it definitely does help dial it down. I had my son one time, the very first experience he ever had was having to come home and eat a brownie. He'd never had anything. He happened to eat this brownie off the stove, and I told him, don't eat these brownies. But he did.
Yeah, it's a learning
He forgot.
process.
Yeah.
So I told him, bottle of tincture, down it. And it really, obviously he was still going to be whatever, but just cutting that thing. And, it's a popular item out in like states like Colorado, that come down shots, as they call them, or, whatever, to kind of just cut that a little bit if you had too much. So,
I mean, first of all,
is it proven? I don't know.
well, I was going to
I
say
don't know what that
this.
means.
I will say this, that, and I see Kelsey and Danielle wanted to talk on this. Maybe they'll give some insight.
Please.
But I just want to say this. In Michigan, there is a statute that allows for as a defense that if you are possessing an illegal substance, controlled substance, and you are mixing it or joining another controlled substance to reduce the quote unquote dangerous effect, and cannabis would be the dangerous psychoactive effect of
Schedule
THC,
1, yeah.
right? Then the possession of said substance is not a crime.
Oh, good.
Okay. Now that's a statute. There's one case involving like some ketamine that they tried to argue this, but he couldn't explain how he was reducing the quote unquote danger of ketamine. But when I file these motions, we use we attach this study which I'm referring to, which evidences the effects of the so-called psychoactive effects of THC when there's more CBD in it. Well, the more CBD, the ratio of CBD higher to THC reduces the psychoactive effect. That is the principle. And it really I was getting at, Rob, was there may be things at your booth that people should, one of the things that they should be thinking about, and like the lotions for the legs, 4 hours into standing on your legs, watching some stuff, you may want to, I don't know. I mean, it's
all of it. even again, just before you go home, just have a little bit of, smoke a couple of CBD joints, just hemp flower joints, and just.
And those are also things that you can pick up for like, for instance, my mom loves those types of things to put on her, but she doesn't necessarily get around. So if you're out and you're about and you see a good product at a good booth, you're gonna want to do that.
Get some for mom.
The science of what you guys are saying was spot on, though. Just so you guys know, Robert, you nailed it. Like, if you want me to get all sciencey on it, I will. But essentially, we call it cannabis rescue. So CBD will knock the THC off of the receptors in your brain. It changes the shape of the receptors a little bit, so the THC doesn't bind quite as much, and it brings you down. So you guys nailed it.
Imagine the reality of this, that for the so-called concerns of driving while impaired, that's always like in the backdrop of this, unlike walking out of a bar after, a night of drinking, walking out of an event like this or a consumption line and ingesting a couple CBDs, flower before you leave, and it actually making you not anymore. This is a phenomenon. It would be anyways,
like a phenomenon.
I see we have a four-time Stanley Cup legend and starring in the Canna Jam, the one and only Darren Mack. Darren, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, my friend?
Let's get one thing straight, and it's a perfect segue to the part of the conversation to what I have with the brand. But I'm not the star of the Canna Jam, all right? That's going to be the Pink Floyd Light Show. That's why Jamie got me to go, because of the Pink Floyd Light Show. So he knows how to twist my arm. But no, honestly, guys and gals and everybody, first of all, thank you to all of you again, because I'm alive. And it's because of people not only out there, but you guys front and center. And to be where we're at right now, to be able to have a Canna Jam, to be able to talk about what you're talking about, I got the end of the conversation, but let me just tell you, the big thing that Darren McCarty and the Darren McCarty brand is focusing on is the ensemble or entourage effect. I don't know what the proper term is. One of you guys this weekend will educate me, so I talk properly. But I have a Miss Elizabeth strain that I have out right now, and it's an 8% THC to 12% CBD, and I encourage that I call that the Iron Man suit. So I keep that on stock because it doesn't matter what I should not over medicate myself in certain situations now because of the education that I have. But if I get ready to do my comedy show or whatever, that's what I want to smoke right before, and it just centers me down. So to hear that, professionally and medically that there's a reason for it, I just know. It's just like I always say too, RSO is the savior. If at the end of the day, I believe everybody should have like a gram of RSO in the freezer because that's the timeout. And then if you want to do something stupid tomorrow, then at least you've taken that time out. And me, I ramble, I'm passionate, but I'm excited to be at the Canna Jam in Ipsy on Saturday.
You're right, Darren, and I heard you talking in the Drew and Mike show, and you were making the point of how education's still necessary, and the things that we're talking about right now reduce the stigma. I mean, one of the the overarching themes is we want to reduce the stigma of cannabis use in social situations. I've been complaining that they gave these rec license for social clubs and events. 2019, there's been 3. Ours will be the third. Fourth. And nobody's walking into a restaurant, a bar, and seeing the selection of single malt scotch and a bunch of kind bud that you have a choice of. We're a long way away from that, and you can watch a sporting event and see and be inundated with pretty gorgeous people drinking beer and having fun over alcohol. Much more dangerous choice. So,
but that's the next goal, right? That's there's a 2023 plan with all these teams downtown that's when they're going to start being really good. And my goal is, to your point right there, as far as a cannabis consumption lounge, right? And you look at myself, you look at Calvin Johnson, Rob Sims with Primitive. If you want to go athletes, you look at Chris Webber putting $50 million into Corktown. There should be, and I'm looking to have this conversation, and I put it out there, and you know how I roll, boys, is that it's just straightforward, and I don't have any breaks. And the fact is that I believe by that time, I'm not asking something to not have the option to go to a CBD coffee bar lounge, sort of what Jamie and the people up north, Kalkaska, are concocting, and have an option, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about what you choose. Go get drunk or drink, or go get CBD or smoke a joint before you go, however you want to entertain. And I think that what you guys do with this show, Planet Green Trees, everybody who is involved in anything, and it's important that the listeners and the viewers, and they all know that this is their part of it too. I would thank all of you individually, because it's you are the reason, because of cannabis becoming the recreational, the medical, that I'm alive. So I entertained you. We had some fun. Now the real choice is here. The real job's here. And I'm just happy to be part of your guys' team. And we're going to get there, though. We're going to get there one day soon. Because can I ask you guys this, right? Are we not further? And I know some ways we're not further along, but in other ways we are a lot further along. And I think, to me, the blessing of COVID was education sped up, because people didn't have a choice but to seek alternative that maybe they didn't before. So I'm patient. I've learned a long time ago that I'm like the plant. I got to be patient, resilient, and it's not on my time. It's on his time and the plant's time. And I love surrounding myself with people like yourselves, because that's it. At the end of the day, what we do is not who we are. And what we are is we're compassionate people for other people.
You know, you're a good ambassador for this, Darren, because people obviously respect you for your, career as a hockey player, and also your survival afterwards. Not a lot of athletes can pull themselves out of the post, professional athlete thing. And you've become an ambassador of speaking about it. I love the fact that, on the Drew and Mike show, they were trying to pull you into the party mode kind of thing, and you kept pulling back. Like, no, it's all about education. You got to know about it. People need to make choices. And there may be, so you're right. And I think that is a overarching theme about this. And, there needs to be more of it. Like we all just went, we just observed these bills that are, in committee up in Lansing. All of those legislatures are oblivious to the history of the Michigan marijuana laws, and it was.
That's why I'm not allowed in there, right? That's why I'm not allowed in there. That's why I will preach to. But are you kidding me? I couldn't do what you guys do, because it's the compassion of dealing with idiocracy. Because the thing is this is a plant, so it deals with common sense. And it really showed, really the kicker to me is the fact that I have an endocannabinoid system, and you're telling me that this plant is the one that has over 500 cannabinoids. Wait a sec, this is the food processor, A. 2, I can't die, right? And no matter what. And 3, it clears up. This plant cleans up nuclear disasters, AKA hemp Chernobyl, which means, oh my gosh, I was a disaster. RSO, boom, right? And allowed me. So it's common sense. And I think that that's all it is. And sometimes I'm there to smack them hard. That's why we have Jamie. And that's why we have Rick and yourself and all the fine people that do it by the book. But it's coming slowly, because even the uneducated are becoming, because the allies are the ones that go, well, it just makes sense, right? We just got to go, well, that's common sense. So it's a tough fight, and you guys have the toughest fight. So, that frustrates me.
I know.
It does, that there's such stupidity when it comes to human compassion. Because if it's about compassion for a fellow human being, then this isn't even an issue. But it's not. It's about the dollars. So we got to fight through that, give everybody their money, and then we can move on.
And the amount of ignorance and misunderstanding about cannabis was on full display at the committee hearing on Tuesday in regulatory reform by the MCMA and their lobbyists.
Darren, you asked a question about being farther along or not. That we get a whole other show on that another night. You know what I mean? And we do want to kind of keep it on the levity of Canna Jam, but.
Yes. Sorry.
No. But the point you're making is that, this tax and regulate is something we all voted for. Most people, even caregivers that are on the chopping block, I'm sure they all voted for legalization. The question was always going to be, what does tax and regulate look like? And how much is the government going to try to control the cannabis economy? Because I think at the end of the day, it's a loser. You can try to overregulate, you can control it as much as you want, but it doesn't mean people aren't going to seek out and get their cannabis, or people aren't going to grow their cannabis. And some things are just beyond. And there's an argument they've gone about it in such a way that's not really getting to. We've created a lot of barriers to get to that. It looks like the alcohol program, where it's in every store. People aren't making it in their bathtubs anymore. Someone's reeling it in off of a truck, into all these stores like a beer, and put in the cooler.
So that's not realistic.
Well,
it's a plant. You can't treat it unrealistically. But I don't know. That's the fight to whatever I believe in, the history and whatever. And it comes to this, we're here because of the caregivers. So I don't know, dude.
Well, listen, I was going to say this. The idea of this control thing is interesting because and all the things you're talking about needing to educate are difficult because you're trying to unwind 40 years of the biggest lie ever told, which is that cannabis is a Schedule I drug. And only by misinformation still existing that it's dangerous, that caregivers may poison someone. One of the former head of Lara, her name, she can remain nameless, Shelley Egerton.
She was part of that presentation.
Was part of the presentation. She had the audacity to drop, we want safe products. There's all these, we want to protect the children from getting cannabis products that are untested.
It's always about the children.
Without citing an example, other than Rob just mentioned one just a minute ago.
And she was the head of the department when caregivers were bringing their cannabis directly to stores without any testing mandates, and there were no issues during that entire time.
And the reason it was like that was because the governor declared had an executive order declaring to prevent a state of emergency that patients would not be able to get cannabis. We're going to rely on the caregivers. Oh, by the way, in a couple years, we're going to put them on the chopping block, but they can come in and save this entire program. Yeah. And now they're not, so, but I'm saying to you, only by perpetuating this idea that it's dangerous, does it justify the industry's over regulations, right? If it is just a plant, as Darren has alluded to.
It's not. What ends up happening, and it's been rattled off repeatedly. I can tell you that if we go back to the pediatric example, that the parents of a lot of these kids, they don't have a lot of money. They have sick-ass kids. A lot of times, one of them is forced to stay home to take care of the child if they're married. And, if it's a single parent, it's even harder. And these caregivers have helped some really sick children over the years and are still helping some very sick children. And what will end up happening is they will end up going without. And ultimately, you talk about risk versus benefit. Is the risk really higher with this unregulated marijuana versus the child just not getting the medication that they've become dependent on? It's ridiculous, the entire thing. And there's no concrete point to it evidence that says this is why we need to do this, other than the financial motive that we all know is really the crux of why this is happening.
That's the only thing.
The other thing is that, which has not been mentioned, there was a Supreme Court case in Michigan in the Hartwig Tuttle, and they just, they were going back and forth about what the bona fide doctor-patient relationship is and what the extent they have to go to. And at the end of the day, the doctor is just signing a form after he or she has acknowledged that they meet the criteria, and they're making a recommendation. It's not for the physician, because they have a DEA license, to prescribe cannabis. They don't do that. Right. I would even argue doctors shouldn't even be involved in the suggestion of what kind, what strand, or even making these.
A lot of times they're not. And a lot of them will refuse. If you start talking about dosing, they just step back and they say, "No, all I can do is recommend it." That's it.
And if you said to a doctor, "You shouldn't be doing this," they would say, "That's silly. How could I not know or want to know?" Because it makes no sense to them. And I know that I'm sure
Schedule I.
I'm sure our Ohio friends are like, no. Yes. Ohio does it differently. But the point I'm making is that what they do in this case is they create this remarkable responsibility for the caregiver. Yep. Because they recognize that there's people that have never smoked cannabis before that need to be educated through this. This is what the Ohio program does, right? So they have concierge. Your caregiver is your concierge. Your caregiver is is supposed to identify the necessity of frequency of use and dosing and even method of ingestion, right? And I, in the 12 years of representing people, like they all had this, these stories of the research and development. What did that mean? It meant that they would test by titrating with their patients. Try this. Does that work? Did you sleep well? Okay, well, we're good. I'll fix that and switch that around a little bit. And literally, so this is the role that the caregiver plays. The point I'm trying to make is the dispensaries don't do this. Rec or medical, like their end user is not really considered. They're going to put stuff on the shelf. There's multiple reasons why someone may come in there, but there certainly is not the care and concern, the one-on-one, that this responsibility that caregivers had innately. Like that's what they did. The people that are caregivers they want to heal. They want to take on they want to heal the sick. That's their goal and put their neck on the line. And the point I'm making is that this case, in a lot of ways, kind of validated all of that, and nowhere in the existing and validated in a needs in between the doctor and the patient is this person that's taking on the responsibility and care of finding the right right method of ingestion, what the right dosing would be. They may not know about oil. They may not know that a gram a day is a cure for many people, just to neutralize or clean up your system on all levels. And so the point is that is not existent in the current system. And if there was a reason why we need to keep caregivers and protect the program, it's because the current regulated system of retail are not focused on that.
Well, no.
That's why it's the Midwest CannaConcierge. We're going to be at the event at the Canna Jam. And so maybe we could get Danielle and Kelsey to talk a little bit about just that and providing that educational piece to bridge that gap.
Sure. Go ahead.
But, you want to get on that right now, or you want to wrap it there? And you want to hang out for a few minutes?
Yeah, I'll hang out. It's cool.
All right. Right on.
Yeah.
All right.
Then I would love to hear.
And then
I would love to hear what they have to say, because this is good stuff.
This is huge, and this is along. Sorry, guys, before you start, but along what you can offer at these compassion centers. And just to answer your question, why do you think this is only the fourth event happening? It's because they got to keep us apart. We get too smart, and we get educated. So I'm sorry, go ahead, but.
No, thank you. And thank you guys so much for having us. It's such a pleasure to be here. We're so excited to be at Canna Jam on Saturday. We cannot wait. Absolutely going to be awesome. Thank you for Amanda for including us and your family here. So we are the Midwest CannaConcierge. So we are based in both Ohio with Danielle and I, and then in Michigan with Amanda. And we are a collection of not only patients, but also activists. And then we bring unique perspectives to the table. So I'm a pharmacist, traditionally trained, traditionally practiced pharmacist. But I also had the unique opportunity to work in a dispensary and really honed my knowledge in cannabis and the importance of exactly what you guys were talking about. So knowing what each patient needs on a specific level, how they want to medicate, what their goals are, what they need to think about with their current medications, those types of things. And there just is a complete lack of not only information, good information, where to find the information. Patients are just kind of adrift in a sea. And if you're not lucky enough to have a family member, a friend, that can help you through the process, you can get very, very overwhelmed. And so that was a gap and a need that we saw, and where we're stepping in to help our patients. Basically every step along the way, to hold their hands with the process, to demystify it for them, to make it approachable for them, for the complex cases, for the simple cases. We're there for everybody in between. So that's kind of what we're here for. And to your point about doctors and how doctors won't even give information about their patients, the resistance that I get from doctors typically when they say that they don't want to recommend cannabis is that they can't control it, because doctors are so used to controlling every single piece of what they do. They write you a prescription and they're in control of the dose. They're in control of how you take it. They're in control of what they pick. And with cannabis, they don't have that, and it makes them very uncomfortable, in my opinion. Or at least from what I've experienced with them. And that, I think, is the empowering thing with cannabis when it comes to what patients can do. They can make the decisions for themselves on how they medicate, how they want to feel, and where their health is going to be, and they take it into their own hands. So I'll let Danielle kind of take over. So that's the clinician perspective that I bring to Midwest CannaConcierge. Danielle, if you want to talk about the patient-centered perspective that we bring.
Sure. So I have been a cannabis patient now since 2015. I'm breaking past all of those generational beliefs of how bad the plant is and all the shade that was put on me from my family for trying it versus going the traditional pharmaceutical route, and having to have the hard conversations with my traditional medical team that I was choosing a plant over all these prescriptions they wanted me to be on. And so I had the opportunity then in 2019 actually to work with Kelsey in the dispensary and be able to bring all of my personal experience into the store and being able to empathize with patients who are just really trying to figure it out and not sure where to go to ask the questions, not sure even where to begin, what types of methods to look at, what would be best for what they're looking to accomplish. My dogs are going to freak out.
Fur babies.
They were so quiet this whole time, and then I unmute myself and they spaz out. But yeah, so I get to bring the patient perspective in. I've had to break through a lot of these barriers that these patients have to do and are trying to do, but not really sure where to go and how to handle the frustrations of figuring it all out. So I try to work with them on their level and kind of bridge that gap between the medical side of it, chatting with the doctors and getting that side out of it. I know a lot of my patients will talk to the doctor for just a few minutes and then they'll turn around and they're like, I didn't ask all my questions. Can you help me with this, this, and this? And they're trying to figure out where to look dispensary wise, what type of products to even look for, how to even begin, because they don't want to have that conversation with the doctor. So yeah, I get to bring kind of the patient perspective in and meet with them on that level and help them navigate.
We've got a couple of different options for people. We're going to be at the Canna Jam on Saturday.
Canna Jammin'.
So look for the booth. There's some goodies that will be given away, and we're raffling off some items. And each of us will be there in providing you with more information, and of course, our awesome personalities.
You know, so what's interesting? What's interesting because the Ohio program's a little bit different, and that was originally where you guys kind of came together and developed your skills with that. And like all states that are kind of coming online with medical or whatnot, it is there's a need for that. Need some education, and even in Michigan back in 2008 and 9, if people remember back that far, I always refer to Greg Francisco as being forward thinking at the time because. After the MMP, came in and took, handled the petition to get the 2008 ballot initiative on the ballot, and then after it passed, they left, and there was a vacuum for medical marijuana.
MPP, you mean?
MPP.
Yeah.
What did I say? MMP.
MMP. Yeah.
All right, but there was just Michigan Normal, which is a recreational, and it wasn't that they were against it, but there was really no platform. They had kind of developed the compassion clubs originally, and at least created some. Some centralized source where people could
pretty well.
It did.
It was a good system.
It was a good system originally.
It was a great system.
I mean,
it was,
and it was a good experience. Like you got to meet like-minded people. You got to discuss aspects of the plant that you couldn't discuss with anyone else. And we all know that they would usually hold those in libraries, and afterwards they'd go to some location and there'd be farmers markets. And this was all. Well, not all, but a lot of it was before McQueen happened, and we all thought that, it was protected behavior. But
true.
It was a great time. It was a great time in the history of. There was a real
genuine altruism, I think, in a lot of the places. I mean, people may have had ulterior motives, but you would have the people that were like creating the compassion clubs. They genuinely were like trying to teach people how to fish so they could eat for a lifetime,
totally
and make patient caregiver connections.
Yeah. Correct.
Connections.
Because there was nowhere for anybody to go. Like, where would you go? Like, okay, I got a card. Where do I go? What do I do? Now I go to the library and I meet these people and there's a doctor and a lawyer will tell me what the law is.
I sat in on many first meetings around the state.
And you talk.
Yeah.
And you talk.
You're looking at a product of the G3C and the Herbal Center back in the day of having when I was getting sober, where I go and hang out, just absorb information and detox, and when it's young and felt safe. That's what I want. We got to create that for everybody. When they have that option. So that is a great place that's still going on. They were pioneers in that, and it goes on now. And we just had John Sinclair's birthday there.
All right, Jamie and Darren, I have to tell you, you've made me extremely upset because you reminded me that I think my greatest regret in preparing for Canna Jam was that I did not get the entire Compassion Club there. They love D-Mac. I love Jeremy and Roma.
One phone call.
And they really should have...
Make it happen, Jamie.
Seriously, because you guys were just up there. I figure you were covering that at the John Sinclair party.
Yeah, maybe.
You are responsible for everything.
I did talk about it, but I didn't.
I know.
We're going to have to go offline to discuss that because we got to take a break.
All right, we'll take a quick break. But I'm having too much fun, really. It's good.
The fun is going to continue. Don't worry.
What if D-Mac wants to go? We got to make him stay.
He's going to stay. All right, okay. It's all good. You're listening to Planet Green Trees.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Come on now, I hear you feeling down, and I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again. Money, get away, get a good job with full pay, and you're okay.
Worked a double shift in the heart of the city. Sun's going down. I'm about to get ready to close my eyes, get some rest and dream of a life that's better than this. Pull the shades close and turn off the light, climb into bed and the rest of my life fades away oh so fast. The next thing you know I'm gone in a flash. Big blue world that was full of fire. I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real. Wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. Every night I dream so we could be together. My alarm went off and the sun came up, and I was back to work and just my luck. Breaking my back just to stay afloat. I can't stay awake, I need an antidote to keep my fears and my blues away. Well, it's getting heavy at the end of the day. I bust out the door, down the road. Yeah, to finish what I started. No, we're telling where it might go. Out of a big blue world that was full of fire. I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real. Wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. And every night I dream so we could be together. And every night I dream so we could be together. Too long, though my feelings now for you are strong. You take my hand, all we leave the ground, we're flying. A big blue world that was full of fire. I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real. Wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. Oh, and every night I dream so we could be together. Yeah, and every night I dream so we could be together. Yes, I do. Oh, I dream of you. Nuns together. Oh, I dream.
I am Earl from G3 Cannabis Therapy Network, and you are watching Planet Green Trees, the original and #1 podcast in Michigan for all things cannabis and legal news.
Bill Schuette led the charge against medical marijuana, and even after the will of the voters was decided and the support was enormous, he still continued to fight against the will of the voters, keeping patients from the medicine that they need. So I think it's important that we all speak up on what we think about this initiative. But when the voters have their say, their will must stand.
Come on now, I hear you feeling down. Well, I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again.
Hi, this is retired Sergeant Steve Miller, and you are watching Planet Green Trees.
Here's Michael Komorn with more Planet Green Trees.
All right, we're back. Thanks for staying with us. Planet Green Trees, episode number. What number is it? 534. We're calling it Canna Jam Slam.
Canna Jam Slam.
We're joined by
Canna Jam Slam.
We're joined by legend Darren McCarty, who was going to be there performing his Slapstick comedy tour, and we had to hold back. Jamie tried to ask you 4 times, who's going to be there? What's the warm-up back? What should we expect from the Slapstick tour?
Some jokes, and I'm going to probably tell some stories that we were all been a part of. I'm going to remind you of what's coming in the Red Wing world, but we'll talk about some things we have in common, not just cannabis, but maybe other things. But the very beautiful and very wonderful Chrissy Kinney is opening up. She is foul-mouthed and hilarious. She's one of my favorite comics, and also a good friend. It's actually she's part of our crew and stuff now. So I just collect these great comics and great people, just like you do with the people that have compassion for everybody else. So I look forward to having a great time, just being around, the like-minded people and learning. I always learn, man. It's unbelievable. It's great to be a sponge and be able to know what's happening and see where everybody else is passionate about, and it's going to be a great time. I can't wait to see everybody.
I had a bunch of other things I want to talk about from the break that we were kind of talking about, but I think I want to bring this up, and this has been one of the talking points, Darren. I feel like you're kind of talking around this. I just want to kind of try to, because I think it's like the talking point, which is this event. I'm billing it as, look at, there's so much divisiveness in our country right now. People can't get along about anything. There's like 2 sides. Everyone's tribal, more than ever. But, and it's been said before, cannabis is a unifying issue, right? Like most people, if not 80% of Michigan in the country is in favor of medical cannabis. There's no question about that. Just, simple 12 years ago, it was the devil's lettuce, The
devil's lettuce.
And but now here we are. The state has legalized it. The state has legalized it, and how's the state doing? Sky isn't falling. Kids aren't eating dogs. The state happens to be bringing $110 million in sales, and that's like it's like $1 billion.
I haven't heard that one.
Isn't there a lot of danger out there? Per MCMA.
If it was, they'd be able to identify. They'd be able to identify those facts. There isn't any. They just have to rely on the children and stuff. But my point is that, despite tribal politics or divisiveness, cannabis became legal because enough people, believe that it should not be criminalized, and at least should be treated as similar to alcohol, as the campaign and the messaging was. And as we stay here today, I think it's fair to say, when people can join and sit down and gather over music and cannabis and food, you're more likely to discuss things that you're going to get along about if you're already agreeing to some things, and it just creates a certain amount of civility.
Yeah, everybody loves tacos.
Yeah, civility. And I just think that it serves as a gel for people, and it's something we could, for those, we agree. I think there's more people that agree about cannabis and disagree about everything else, and you can't really say that about any other one issue that would bring them in. You know what I mean? I don't think there's something that goes across the barrier. Jared, what do you think about that theme? Do you think there's something to that?
Yes, absolutely. It brings up that what you show me on TV or tell me on the internet, that's not my world. Come out Saturday to Ypsilanti to Canna Jam and come and see my world because if you're not doing what I'm doing, then stay away. But if you are interested and you want to be, what do you mean by that? Because we're not here to argue, but we're here to answer questions all day long. Because this is everybody's. It was put here for everyone. That is why when you look around and you will come and see when you look around and you'll see everything that you'll ever see in this world, and you can get along and you can relate to something and come and if you're educated. So that is, you want to see Darren McCarty's world, please come out and you can meet some of the people that are important in Darren McCarty's world too. And then you can hear Darren McCarty tell you about how we all beat up Vladimir.
You know,
that's an awesome thing to listen to.
That is. And
I remember that fight.
I just saw
a lot of people have a version and what they were doing, and just like like some other major events in history, people remember what they were doing, and that's one of them.
It was a retaliation for breaking Draper's jaw. That's what that was about.
Absolutely, and it's even deeper than that, and I will go through it to why. And now that I get more to the story, and now that Stevie's back and doing all this, I can draw this line that everybody can go on, or if they're not old enough or weren't, they're either cultured to it or can understand why things are the way they are and why it's Detroit versus everybody and all different things. It's not just that, it's Michigan versus everybody. And the greatest thing, as I always say, I am grateful for the compassion of the people of this state, because that is why I'm alive. So come and see my world, ask all the questions you want, or teach me something. Saturday in Ipsy.
So people, so let's say you're open-minded, you go into a bar, you sit down, you start drinking a little bit, and then all of a sudden politics comes up. What's likely to happen? There's going to be a disagreement, right?
Someone's going to get a black eye.
You know what I'm saying? Like over 6, 7, 8 drinks as the night goes on, that's going to happen. People are going to find their disagreements. You know what I mean? I just don't
Hopefully there's no darts.
I just feel like what happens in those social studies, people find the connections. Like it's a connector, it's a gel, right? I mean, it's not like... there may be times where you're in that situation, like, I don't like anything that's the other person's saying, and it sounds crazy. But, you may usually, like...
Then you remove yourself from the situation. You're not looking for an altercation.
Right.
You're going to find out, okay.
Right.
Because everybody's not all Mary Poppins and hunky-dory. There's all different levels to it. But, trust me, find your tribe. Because if you are about the plant, your tribe is there in some form. We all love Disney World or Universal Studios for different things, or freaking Cedar Point for different rides, so
I think the tribe, I think it's a bigger tribe of cannabis, and and you might find this huge tribe of people in the cannabis tribe, and you may not see them in the next tribe you go to, because they're like the fighting tribe to that tribe, but
that's exactly how it's like.
You know what I mean? Like for here, well, that makes sense.
But that's why it's such. For so long we were told that this was not a bipartisan issue.
It's not. It would
absolutely
right.
Is a bipartisan
it would have passed.
issue.
It would have passed. No issue gets 3 million votes, 3.2 million votes, or 63% of the electorate, and it's partisan. It's just impossible. There's no party that controls like that. Which brings me to my joke, which is that the old saying: you give a group of people a case of beer, they'll start a fight. You give them a bag of cannabis, they'll start a band.
I feel like I read you saying that.
I say it every chance I get.
In one of the articles.
It's so true.
It's a stolen joke from somewhere.
I think that's how Grindr started.
I was going to say, we should have had Grindr play the event, Darren.
Shut up. Grindr's back.
Are you guys back?
Yeah, that's what Billy said.
Sweet.
We were rehearsing the last couple of weeks. So.
That's great. Right.
Yeah, we're... Yeah, you got to remember, I'm the youngest one in the band, so they had to all make sure health and everything. So
get the doctor.
I always think that's funny. You're telling me my own version of the Rolling Stones.
You're telling me we could have had a Rolling Stones cover band also, and Jamie didn't book that? Jamie, come on.
I thought you were responsible for everything.
I think the lineup's pretty
We
good.
don't want to overload everybody.
That's true. We got to space it out.
I could have done it. You know what? We're going to bring the band with the death match.
It'll be
Let's
next
do
time.
that now.
So next year we'll have Grinder instead of the comedy tour.
But you have to be specified. For some
We'll
folks,
switch it up
Grindr
every
is
other
something
year.
different.
That'll be good.
Well, you know what? You understand
Okay,
that I
well,
had the
you
band
know
name
what?
first, and somebody's got to sponsor the tour. Money's money, right? So we came to an agreement. Somebody's got to pay for the gas of the tour bus.
Darren, we have a.
Hey, I know who I am.
Darren, I don't know if you've met Tom Beller. He's one of the other. He's one of the other platinum sponsors of the event. He's also the owner of the Real Leaf Solutions, which is a cultivation license in the state of Michigan. And he's Pink Floyd. He's Pink in the story.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. I'm so excited. That's the reason that I'm going.
These guys crossed paths at the botanical company in Kalakaska.
Yeah, you got my mom a birthday cake on her 75th birthday.
Absolutely, bro.
In the parking lot, man. It was so awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to this weekend so much. Do you know any Floyd songs?
Do I know any Floyd songs? I know a lot of Floyd songs. We can chat.
All right.
No, we're doing it now. We're going to talk about Pink Floyd. I'm so excited about this. Come on, why not? I mean,
Let go of the set list.
We were bragging before that when we first spoke. When we first spoke, Tom, I was, I was just excited that I knew of someone named Echoes of Pink Floyd. And you're like, Mike, we're doing this, and you were on board, and it just made all of the vision of it that much more real. And then we joked around about some stuff, and it's too bad because we have this Oz of Cannabis, and we joked that maybe you would do the Dark Side of the Moon.
We do that show for sure, man. We could probably set something up. We do the whole Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon live. We rehearsed it, and we know where all the spots are supposed to line up. And there's actually 2 spots in the whole album you can fudge either way if your tempos start to drag or if they're too fast to kind of get back on track. But it's a pretty cool show. Yeah,
that is awesome.
So definitely do something like that.
That is awesome.
I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. So,
what's your favorite obscure song, D-Mac, that people wouldn't know of?
Well, "Wish You Were Here" is one of the. What's that?
Yeah, he needs
your Pink Floyd song. I think but that's okay.
How about Bike?
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say.
You guys,
can
you guys play Bike on Saturday?
We may
That's
or
tough.
may not play Bike on Saturday.
Should we expect some Shine On You Crazy Diamond?
Dude.
Yeah, you definitely have to have Shine On You Crazy.
Okay, because Michael promised it even before you guys were like in.
What about
Michael's been making a lot of promises.
What about okay? All right. What about pigs? Should we expect some pigs?
Absolutely, man, and that's that's going to be dedicated to some people that we all.
I hope you play.
It's going down.
I hope you play Sheep too, though, because Sheep is probably my favorite song off
I love
that
that
album.
song. The whole album's
It's a great
fantastic.
album.
It is a great album.
That's one that we don't play as often, but we do. So I'm not going to give away the whole set list.
That's right.
We have over 2 hours of music to play. So
Okay, good.
All right. So, Darren, what's your favorite Pink Floyd album? And we'll go around the room here real quick. Rob, you're next.
Wall.
The Wall?
Brick.
The brick wall. Rob, what do you got?
I'm gonna be really awful here, and gosh, I can't really pick one because I really like the early Sid Barrett stuff. I really do like the early Sid Barrett stuff. So fuck. And I'm also the world's worst Pink Floyd fan, actually, because I'm not really that deeply into them.
All right.
I'm a deadhead.
You can say pass. You can say pass.
They work together quite often.
I know.
hand in hand, right?
Animals is probably the album that I would guess, but I don't really have anything deep. I'm more of a guy who's honestly, all of my really deep Pink Floyd listening came upon the band Fish. Was them leading me into them. Honestly.
Oh, okay.
Jamie?
I'd agree with Animals.
Sorry.
Yeah, man, I like so many.
Yes,
of them.
I mean, there's this period that I have with them, but I can't really. I'm just not that deep into them. Sorry.
I like a lot of them for different reasons. You know, I'm not sure so much more than another, but I probably have the most connection, the most time spent. You know, with Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
That was what I would say too, but then that's like the most obvious one that I was like in my head. I'm like, no, but I really like
just the truth. But yeah.
I think it's a super deep song, Apples and Oranges, and you're like, that's totally my favorite jam, and that's it. No.
Yeah, Crazy Barrett stuff.
Steve, what do we got?
Well, I think probably Animals.
Yeah.
And but I have special connection with Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay.
May have done some tripping to that.
All right, that's fair.
That's a good one.
Seen some laser work at the same time.
Yeah.
Cranbrook.
That's some good.
That was a hot ticket back in the day.
Yeah.
It's a good trip from if you lay back and listen to Dark Side of the Moon start to finish. You don't even need lasers, really. You just start seeing stuff.
You're saying in terms of the place and setting, that would be for the setting part, right?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good backdrop for part of your trip, anyway.
Amanda, what do you got? Can you name an album?
I just want to say I don't have a favorite album, but I do know that I've had lots of fond memories listening to Pink Floyd songs as a youngster growing up. So I don't want to say that one album is my favorite.
Okay, Jimmy, what do you say?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what kind of Floyd. Like, if you're talking old, I mean, I like metal. I think
Metal's
metal is a good one.
Yeah.
Scared by Clouds is a great album.
Yeah. I think as far as like the new Floyd, I loved the Pulse Live album. That's something I'll listen to even on a regular basis today. And I loved "Wish You Were Here," the album,
it's a great
specifically for "Shine On You Crazy Diamond." I think that it's one of my favorite jams. The whole album's good, but I like a whole lot of Floyd.
You know what else is a good album? I think it was Roger Waters' last one was The Final Cut.
Yeah.
Oh, Final Cut's
that's got some
underrated.
good songs on it. Yeah.
Yeah. The band's just sick and tired of the Wall stuff and Roger being so.
Sure, I mean, that's the best thing. That's the best thing about it. We get the probably better played, closer to the album. Don't have to deal with what's his face, and all that stuff. But I will say, so I'm a big fan of metal, and I'm looking at the songs on the back. I've always loved the song "Fearless" for some reason, and that little lick at the end. It's like kind of buried in there. You know what I'm talking about? And the other one that starts out with "Welcome to the Machine." Which one is that? Is that?
That's "Wish You Were Here."
Yeah. And that's got "Shine On." Yeah, that's.
Then "Have a Cigar."
Wait, what's the? Oh no, no. Wait a second.
That's a good album. Start to finish too.
What's the one that's got the one side? 20 minutes of what is it? That's
"Shine On You Crazy Diamond."
No, it's not. It's not 20 minutes. It's side 2 when there used to be albums and it was like one song all the way through. Tom, what am I talking about? It's like is it Echoes?
Echoes?
Yeah, it's Echoes, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's 2 parts to Echoes. If you like Live in Pompeii, if you watch that version
right.
too.
What album is that?
That's Metal.
Metal. That's right. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Live in Pompeii was a great video.
What about you guys? You guys tell us a little inside of the band without like giving out too many secrets. But you guys
no, definitely. Let's
give out secrets. Right.
Some secrets.
I'm always curious how these things come together.
Tell us.
All right. Well, yeah, we're an 8-piece band. We've been around since 2004. I joined the band in 2008, and since then it's been through 3 iterations, and now we've kind of landed in this great lineup of musicians from all over Michigan, and we haven't played in 2 years, but we've been rehearsing, and everyone's super fired up. The whole COVID thing kind of put a wrench in everything. So I know what you're going through, Darren, with your band. Just the thought of getting back and playing again is just super exciting. So, but we're just great players. We love Floyd. We've been around for some time, and it takes time to develop the nuance because Pink Floyd is so full of it. and everyone is very familiar with the music. It has universal appeal to such a level. You know, you have to pay respect to it first, but also not leave it like everyone can go and throw the album on, you know, on the turntable or whatever and listen to it. And, you know, so we do try to still capture all that nuance, but also keep the energy, you know, fresh, not just going through the motions. And you know, because Floyd it's modern rock and roll composition, really. And, you know, can't say enough about the band. I hope you guys come and, you know, anybody out there listening comes and, you know, checks it out. It's going to be a great day. We're so excited to have, you know, Mike contact us and think about, you know, bringing us on. So we're charged up to play. Rehearsals are going really well. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this. I would imagine that in order to even want to, you know, be in the band, you got to be a huge Pink Floyd fan, right? I mean, they got to love it, and probably coming into it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we've had all kinds of people in the band, from like fanatics, like don't say the wrong kind of, you know, fact or something, you know, fact checkers, I guess what you'd call them. And that's cool. You know, people really commit their lives to it. And, you know, to everyone that, I just think they have such universal appeal, and most musicians that, you know, really respect. I mean, if you're a guitarist and you're not studying David Gilmour's technique and everything in his tone, and just trying to figure out that, you know, what he's doing, you know, not, if that doesn't interest you, then, you know, you're not digging deep enough into it. So,
because he's a guitar style that is so, that's what it is. I mean, some of those, you know, he talks and sings and speaks in such a, the tone, and, you know, it's, it may not even be complex, right, in terms of like what he's doing.
That's the thing about Pink Floyd, is that, yeah, I mean, as a musician, Pink Floyd is not the most complex music to perform, but you still need to pay attention and listen, and it's, you know, more of intention and space between notes.
Yes.
Because there's such a familiarity with it, you know, and that's, you know, the whole patience in the music is really where that discipline comes in, and bringing it, you know, bringing it together, and it just kind of locks in. And, you know, Pink Floyd, like I said, everyone knows the parts, so you need to be true to it, or, you know, people can sniff that out pretty easily.
I was going to say, because if you're paying tribute to it, the music, you got to love the music. And that's a really interesting thing you said. I'm not, you know, I love music, and I'm not a good musician. But the point of there being the space in between, and that being such a, you know, equal, if not more important, just in that guitar style, the tone and the spacing and the, you know, the bends and the bend and dend, you know, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But is there a common critique that the band leader will go like slow down or more space? I mean, what's the thing that you guys are harping on as a drill set or something, you know, skill you guys need to go with?
Oh, but people tend to get excited live, and tempos can tend to speed up. And that's one thing, as a musician, you gotta, especially being a rhythm player, say locking in with the drummer and making sure you lay back enough, but not so much that it's, you know, draggy or anything. So, yeah, it's a fine line.
How old were you when The Wall came out and you heard for the first time, teacher, leave those kids alone? What?
Didn't it come out in 81?
Yeah.
Was it 81?
It came out in 81, didn't it?
Yeah. I was like in middle school, I think.
I was 1.
You're 1? He said he was 1 too, I think.
Back, let me know if I was 1.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So it wasn't like playing. Darren, do you remember?
I was 9.
Oh, yeah.
But you remember like hearing it and stuff, like playing background places, like wherever, you know.
Yeah. It was a good time when I was a kid, though. We don't need no education.
That was a good time.
It was. And you know what? I think they did.
Very empowering.
Isn't the story? Isn't the story?
Darren was born on the first day of Hash Bash, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, my birthday was the first Hash Bash. Did my set.
Didn't that wasn't that guitar in the framework of like a disco? Isn't like there's like a disco element to that? Am I wrong? Is that blasphemy? Pink Floyd, tell me.
Totally disco. Yeah, 4 on the floor with the drums, and, you know, just
it was. The movie was crazy. Did anyone? Jamie referred to it. Does anyone have a recollection of going to the Cranbrook? What do you call it? The
Oh yeah.
Laser Light
Observatory.
Laser Light Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Pink Floyd show.
Yeah.
That was the
awesome.
best place to take a girl when you were in high school.
Yeah?
It was
Really?
the planetarium for the Pink Floyd show.
Because
Oh,
everything was
Need a
dark
bunch
in
of
there, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
They did it up
Yeah.
in Flint too at the Longway Planetarium.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like that, but with a live band, which is pretty.
It's even better.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I got it. Aye.
I was just thinking, like, you know, everyone's touches with Pink Floyd. I'm kind of bringing that whole thing around. So, so Tom, what, you know, when you guys does everyone else play in other bands? Does everyone have their own genre that they like, or is it you guys just all are committed to this one group? You know, and imagine a lot of that didn't even matter the last couple of years. But what? Tell us about the other players.
The other players, we have such a wide array. I mean, our saxophone and flute player, Dan Jacobasi, he plays in like Latin bands and jazz ensembles in Muskegon and with other rock bands. And he played with Grasshopper. I don't know if you remember that band. I don't know if they're still around. Yeah, I mean, everyone's all over the place. I mean, we have people that love metal all the way down to opera. You know, we have down. You know, but just a range of interests and everything and backgrounds. Everyone's a lifelong musician and professional, so that makes life really easy to coordinate rehearsals for 8 people, because it can be like herding cats when you try to get people together and everyone on the same page musically.
Yeah, that's a big group.
Essentially, music is like communication, and
So, tell us about these lasers. I want to hear about this laser show.
I also want to see behind you, Tom. That thing was spinning when you joined the call, and there we go. There we go.
I just moved into my rehearsal space, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Very cool.
So the laser show, when I joined the band, the stage show was very minimal, and I kind of felt that we needed to start bringing new elements in. So I started studying lighting and messing around with things, and eventually, bought lasers, and we have a whole stage rig and everything now with video and a circle with movers on it now. For our stage production, but we started off very, meager and just built up every show, just kind of built more and more over the years. And now we have, 5 high-powered lasers in the show, and we're starting to book into 2022, and those we're about to upgrade and probably bring 3 more larger projectors on for the next couple of years, so we can do even bigger, brighter displays. But we bring hazers to the show, so I'm hoping that we're not going to have to use as much haze at this event. I'm very excited. It's
going to be
at the prospect of the natural haze.
There will be a natural haze, I'm
It's
certain.
going to be just a cloud of smoke all the way through.
Tommy will make sure of that.
Everyone's going to have to do their part,
Yes, we all have to do our part.
Tom, have you seen Pink Floyd live before?
I've seen David Gilmour and Roger Waters each live, but not Pink Floyd. I missed the Pulse tour in '95 and that's when they played Dark Side of the Moon for the first time, all the way through in that second set at the Silverdome. I did the show.
It's a good
unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, the tour.
I was backpacking through Europe after I graduated high school, and I think they were playing. It may have been one of their last shows, like in Venice. Like when the town was like sinking and stuff. But I remember being in Venice. I didn't see them, but they were like playing, whatever. But is that when the breakup happened?
Are they on a floating stage?
Yeah, exactly. In the
Yeah. And there were boats all around it. Yeah, for sure. That was Venice. Yep.
Wow.
Very cool. Yeah. Just on the internet, you can see it. It's pretty neat.
That's the best thing about the internet. All right. So what else? So what else should we expect from Pink Floyd? We got the light show. You got a number of songs.
Should 2 hours of Pink motherfucking
I know.
Floyd.
Should we get some feedback from people that want to throw some songs on Facebook to see what people are thinking in terms of? We'll give you just so the band can consider it. They're not committed, of course. But we just want to hear what the crowd wants to hear. Of course, and Darren, why don't you do this? First of all, Tom, I want to thank you also because I know Real Leaf Solutions is one of the platinum sponsors. That's a license in I want you to talk about that a little bit and let us know how far you're along, where one might find that if they wanted to, what parts of the state is that plant getting to. And Darren, then I want to come to you and talk some more about your brand and let people hear you talk about that and especially that 8 to 12 ratio one as well. And people should be thinking about that. But Tom, go ahead. Tell us a little more about that if you would.
Well, Real Leaf Solutions is a family-owned and operated cannabis cultivation facility in Kalkaska. We're one of the first state-licensed facilities, and we've been, pushing along here for the past 3 years, and we're really excited to be able to bring products to an event like this. And it's an amazing time to think that this is something that we are now doing, and we are going to normalize it, and we get to be a part of it. We're very proud to be a part of this, and just being around and working with people, normalizing cannabis. We've been very vocal with the state from the very beginning, right after the applications were even sent out and available, and we were working with the local municipalities, with our caregiver grow, to kind of normalize inspectors, anyone that wanted to come in and check it out, say, hey, you're going to be seeing these things soon, so you might as well get familiar with the plan. This is just a small version of what we're going to be doing when we get licensed, and show them the whole process and educated. And it's been a really great relationship with the village and the state by doing that. And we feel like this is just another extension of just opening everything up and normalizing it, which we've been fighting so hard and continue, obviously, to fight every day. Apparently, we're still going to have to do that, but whatever. I guess that's just how it goes. But our products will be available at the botanical booth. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of pre-rolls there available. And I don't know what other products, probably dabbable products, flower, vape pens, edibles, and things of that nature.
And even though he hasn't, I'm not kind of upset he hasn't done this already, but we can certainly make sure we have a lot of pre-rolls in the VIP tent. Of course, Jamie, you'll handle that, right? Those can be guaranteed.
Gotta have some VIP pre-rolls.
Jamie's on it.
And general admission also, not
area.
Right, for everybody.
Yeah, we can bring some too. There's just have a limit.
Yeah.
Each person has a limit there, so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing that we can do that. I know, that's just.
I was going to say Kalkaska. First of all, your description of how you got, because Kalkaska is like a green country in a way. Like especially in light of that, there's so many other cities that haven't opted in. There's a few that are, like you say, on the leading. And saying we're in. Right. Come develop.
I mean, as soon as rec was available, bam, they had an ordinance, and that made me feel great as a business owner, having a license, and knowing that they're being proactive with what's available. They want to have festivals and things of this nature too. So these are all things they're into, and they have been from the get-go.
Lounge
very
right
nice
downtown.
working relationship. Yeah. I can't wait to go check out that
Tom,
the lounge up there.
Tom, hopefully
December.
Before we got on, we were talking about, we had Rob was discussing this. We actually had a pharmacist on, and I know from some research that I had done and have supplied to the court in situations where I needed to make this point. But we decided that it's the law and science right now, so there's not a lot of argument left. But the use of CBD, cannabis, hemp products, CBD products, offset the psychoactive effects of perceived, psychoactive effects of THC, and we envision like this, like the equivalent of like an undrunk pill or like an undrunk, smoke before someone would get, just kind of alleviating all that. I don't know. I don't think it's something that needs to be of some concern. I was even going to say Kalkaska is a good model that. Like Ypsilanti, that would establish the lack of evidence of like the sky falling and children eating their dogs. Like it seems to be doing okay. Yeah. Some jobs are probably coming back. City probably got a lot of money because it's giving out a lot of licenses. What was the number? I always love pulling that out. Do you know what? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's done by license. Yeah. Do you have a number?
61, maybe.
61 in Kalkaska. Is that what you said?
And I think it's at, Jamie, what's the number? It's like 30, is it 30, 50,000 that they get back per license? Something like that. I think.
It's a provisioning center, but they have many there. I mean, Kalkaska's just booming.
Micro business and retail stores.
What would,
Well, they're all to everything.
right.
So
Like,
if you're out there looking,
like I
you
remember.
don't know.
Right. Keep going.
Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Tom.
No, it's okay. I was just saying, if you've been under a rock and are interested in cannabis, the Kalkaska is an option for people.
Sure. And I'm saying, like, I know this stat, which is like Ann Arbor got the year, in 2021 from the fiscal year 2020, they got like $460,000. And it was just based on the number of retail licenses they've given out. That was the payout equivalents. And they took it and, funded the court with it instead of, needing to use people's money that they come through the court. That's the idea. Anyway, so there's a lot of facts and data now supporting the principle that the world will not change, and there may be something to this legalization.
I just, on my way here today, visited the dispensary that just opened up in Whitmore Lake called Planted.
Okay.
And
Planted.
yeah, it was a really cute little location right in Whitmore Lake, right on the lake. Really cute. Livingston County, if you can believe it.
Jamie,
that might be Anthony, I think. I'm not positive.
I don't remember.
Is she allowed to like that one?
Yeah, am I allowed to like Planted?
No, you don't know. It could be. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Allowed to like anything.
That would depend.
We're going to have to do an investigation.
Okay, I do want to say that whatever these joints were, they were really awesome.
All right, excellent. That's the thing. All right, Darren McCarty, I think there's a picture that we have of you with something like that. You're holding up looks like a cigar, like a McGar kind of thing.
A pre-roll?
Yeah, it's a pre-roll. Yeah, there you go, right there. The Darren McCarty brand, right?
Look at that. Look at
that. I like a couple of those. Look at that. So what is it? What's inside of the thing? Can you see that, Darren? Can you see on the screen?
No, hold on.
Okay.
Justin.
No,
it's fine.
If you put it on you, I can see it on you, but I know what it looks like.
How about that?
Yeah. Is it a Jamie? Is it the pre-roll?
It's a pre-roll.
You're talking about the one where you're holding it up like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be it would be a big ass pre-roll.
A big one.
Well, it's a pre-roll. It's a full gram pre-roll that you can get in 100. I think it's in 173 of the how many dispensaries in the state right now? Now the Darren McCarty brand licensed through Canna, right? Canna up in Pinconning, which is the tie around all this is, if you don't know that the growers there are the Radical Genetics guys who are caregivers and have been in the game a long time. And, it's a relationship because for me, it's about the product. And so with that, I also have CBD that I ship all over the world. But the pre-rolls, they range from the Black Eye, which is what I created through Secret Seed Society and Superior. We created, it took 3 years, but it's a Purple Punch 2.0 by Face Up OG by Fruity Pebbles. So it's a black, I call it the Black Eye. So that's the best I could do because my favorite are like Death Stars and that. But what is important to me, and I have different things. I'm a big wrestling fan. So, out at I can say at the Greenhouse or Bazanzo's in Walled Lake or whatever, I got Main Event and Flying Elbow and, but I also have Miss Elizabeth and the Pucker Up and the Entourage or I found a peanut butter breath that is a 1-to-1. It's like a 10 to 10. So it's just, you're so right about the hemp or the CBD and whatever, because you have to have the experience. And I think the great thing about at the Canna Jam is we can stand there and go through it together because we all know our systems are different. So for me, the most important thing was to get with the team that I respected the most, that was the growers. And so now we have, if you don't know about Canna, they just did on Canna Cribs, they just did a whole episode on us. So pretty proud, up and running. And so I have, the watermelon Skittles and the The Dual OG are big favorites. The Exodus Kush, the banana bread muffin, and on Thanksgiving, I will be releasing my gummies, and they are 1-to-1 THC CBD and 1-to-1 THC CBN for the day and for night. And because CBN, I tell you right now, is the key. The sleep, you own sleep, you own the world. That's all it is. If you can own your sleep, you can own the world. Remember that. Nobody owns that. And that CBN is, when we get to it, when people learn how to medicate themselves, it goes back to a conversation you were talking about earlier. The young lady was saying about the doctors don't like having the non-control. Well, right on, because this plant allows you to be your own doctor, because you will learn how to put what product of this plant and how it interacts. I'm holding up my CBD. It's in a squirt, but I have a CBD roll on it. You can get out. Now, the whole thing, yeah, it's got hemp in it and that, but it's the Madagascar vanilla, the patchouli, and the lavender, and it's the entourage or ensemble effect of all these essences of what they do in your body. And it's for smarter people than me to figure this out. It's for me to get it out to the people, because when I say don't tell me what, tell me who, like that's as important. And to get educated, get medicated, and come out to Canna Jam.
Yeah.
That's it.
So DMAC, what was the inspiration for the name of the Miss Elizabeth strain?
It's just because I have Macho Man also, which is blue band, so I have a Macho Man strain, and so the Miss Elizabeth was sort of like the half of the Macho, like it needed a manager, it was like, and because it was so okay, and it wasn't a Bobby the Brain Heenan or whatever I wanted it to be. So in society, psychologically, right, the mother effect. So if I put a female name on it, you might be more apt to try it because it's, something to embrace. It's something that is nurturing. Yeah. So that had to go, into some of it too. And I wanted to differentiate that way. So people, all they have to do is find the brand and then what effect they're looking for, right? There's two things also too. Don't tell me what strain, tell me who grew it. Also, don't tell me what, buzz, or tell me what you're looking to accomplish, or what you're looking to get off the ground. You're looking to clean your whole house. You're looking to take that elephant off your back. You learn you want to exhale a little bit. You're looking to shut the lights out. What are you looking to do? Right. And then so the more we can have these conversations, and the more that we can all get together and say where everybody feels welcome, because once you do and you find your tribe, they're there somewhere, and everybody will point you in the direction you need to go. And all you got to do is keep asking questions. That's all I keep doing. Jamie knows that. He hides from me half the time because I just drill in his ear and it's bleeding and stuff. So,
what's the one strain that you were referring to that you would ingest prior to going on stage? It's kind of like your grounding.
Miss Elizabeth.
Hey, that's Miss Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth. Or there's also an entourage. That is an entourage strain, which is more of a 1-to-1. It's more of a.
You know what? They never asked the Ohio women if they liked ensemble or entourage better. I like ensemble. That's from Dr. Grinspoon, and then also Ethan Russo did something about that recently too.
But he originally called it the entourage effect, then he changed it to the ensemble effect.
He did.
Later in life.
I'm not sure if he originally called it entourage. I'm not sure where that first came from, but he thought that was better described as ensemble.
Yeah, because it's
any
combination of different cannabinoids too for like a ensemble type of effects.
But it's not like the THC is hanging out by itself and just getting support from everything else. They all work synergistically.
That was his argument for medical marijuana against dronabinol and marinol, which was synthetic THC and didn't have the other cannabinoids. That was always his best argument. They didn't have the.
It was a good argument.
It's a great argument.
It would work better overall. Was really rather than like a single molecule.
That's right.
Not that the single molecule didn't work. It just Marinol and all that binded weird, which is why people died from it.
Yep, people got very sick.
Tom, dispel this rumor that Echoes of Pink Floyd. Dispel this rumor. Echoes of Pink Floyd has a strict drug policy: no cannabis smoking during practice or while performing on stage. True or false? I know. So
you hit somebody.
I had one of our employees made this custom roach clip for me that attaches to my microphone stand.
There you go.
Pull it out there and then take, so.
That's good. It's convenient.
I'm unprepared.
This event has been waiting for that, or that thing has been waiting for this event to show up at. Really, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Is it is it cannabis? Darren, I'm going to come back to you on this. I want to hear this from the sports athlete thing. But is it a performance enhancing drug, so to speak? And like I remember my favorite quote, and I like because he was one of the first people to come out and say it. Chauncey Billup, he said something like, "I'd be pissed sometimes if my teammates wouldn't smoke before the game." Does anyone feel that way about Echoes of Pink Floyd? Like, hey, you haven't ingested any bass player. Get in there.
What
Come
the
on.
heck are you doing? You're not medicated?
No, man, there's no peer pressure. But most people do enjoy. Some people less than others. Some like to play with it, some without. So we've all kind of basically figured out the dosage that we individually enjoy if we partake. And that's kind of where it hangs out.
Darren, what about you? Is cannabis readily used in the NHL right now? First, your experience. What about your experience? Do you ever skate?
I never used when I played. I'll use now or whatever like that doing alumni, but that don't matter. But I never used when I played. I hope now that they'll get into the CBD and more things like that. But, for me, I'm not even allowed to talk to my wife in the morning without getting medicated. So that's a rule around here. I can't even leave. So, I mean, that's fine. That's fine with me. So, like I tell everybody, I'm not high, I'm fully medicated, and that's for your purpose. I just wanted to say thanks for having me on. I got to run, but tomorrow night, if anybody's listening, my WJR show between 7 and 8 o'clock at 7:30, I'm going to have the Honorable Jamie Lowell on to talk about Canna Jam.
Excellent.
Jamie, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow night.
Man.
Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday.
Darren, thank you so much. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Great story.
That was fun.
It was fun.
You know what else is really fun?
What's fun?
Echoes of Pink Floyd.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. I mean, anyone have any? I would really want to get it. I think that if he hadn't ingested cannabis and played hockey and then started to, what was that like? Does it? That's a good question to debate maybe another day. Like, what is the impact of it? Obviously you can't be impaired when performing professional responsibilities and whatnot, but is it legitimately can it be in some professions, some types of work, a work enhancer?
No, it can't be.
There's a story of the history.
I shouldn't say that. I think that it especially when you're talking about positions that have, incredible levels of stress, like I think it can help people to, center and see clearly. So in that,
our guitar player.
Go ahead.
Our guitar player actually he codes for a company that makes airplane software. So he doesn't smoke ever, and he works from home, and he's very strict, and he's an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, I also think of
he's just pretty serious. Obviously it depends on what you're doing and the position.
Yeah.
It does,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lifelong graphic artist, branding guy. So for me, I ain't gonna lie, it's performance enhancing. But for me, that's what I do.
But you wouldn't
focus. It allows me to focus. Allows me to be whatever creative, to be able to focus on doing what I need to do, which is design, you know what I mean? Which is very different for a lot of people, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's artist. I'm an artist, you know what I mean? So it's
that's right. Some people get more creative. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. I think it is. There's all kinds of stories of how it people are more perceptive. Things that they may not normally enjoy all of a sudden become enjoyable. Reading or interest in something that was a little bit like just hard to connect with. But
well, let's say this. At one point, I was working for a place, and I won't name them, but I was a graphic artist for this company. We did a high volume amount of art, and we had 8 designers, and I think I had about 10,000 or about, I don't want to say 10, about like 7,000 more finished ads than anybody else in the place. And I'm not lying. I did the whole thing high as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it was just like, chink, I'm in this horrible place that I just have to design. You know what I mean? And it's just like, but
sure.
I mean, honestly, I'm just
zone. I mean, it's the thing, it's.
But sports or whatever, I mean, I get it. I mean, but I do think that's why they kind of mentioned it could be, because it does help you, because again, I have a lot of chronic pain issues and stuff, and it does help you block a lot of that out.
Yeah, but is that really performance enhancing? I mean, that's
that's how you want to take it. Like if you're a boxer, even though you would probably be slower on your reflexes or whatever, that you would, be willing to take a beating a bit more.
There's nothing to say would be slower. They may even be, the opposite.
Yes, I mean,
there's a lot of variables. I was going to say this just back to the topic of with Jim and just bringing up its place in the workplace. I just want to ask that question in this context. That Michael Pollard that did the book about the plants and whatnot. I saw him get interviewed about. Jamie, what's the name of the book? Michael. The guy. He's the plant. He wrote. Is that his name?
Plant. What are you talking about?
He started experimenting with a lot of hallucinogens. He's been doing the book tour, and he was talking about how great it was, and all the different
microdosing.
Yeah, all of it.
Okay.
Anyways, so I saw him being interviewed. So he's been into the psychotropics, and wrote a book about it and the experiences, the shamans, and
the Picard.
Is that
the guy that was at EntheoFest?
Picard, what's his first name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you about the story.
Yep, keep going.
He starts discussing how the history of, the United States initiated with everywhere you would go. You'd come in from the farm field and have cider and drink and get drunk. You'd leave in the morning, and the workers, they'd drink and have cider. And we've got, farm and field and kind of, as a thing, farming. And then at some point, must have been early 1900s, coffee became a regular social activity to the extent that a boss provides it at work and gives you a coffee break.
Yeah.
And the phenomenon of this is that at some point, it wasn't a thing. And then all of a sudden it was a thing. When it happened, production of employment quadrupled.
Of course.
And people, more hours. I mean,
because who doesn't love a good cup of coffee?
But I'm just saying. But I'm saying they moved out one. For the alcohol, you
took a depressant and you replace it with a stimulant.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying though, but there is a history of drugging employees for better performance.
Yeah, of course.
Can't say it any different. That's what it'd be.
True.
I mean,
and
we always knew that though, right?
We're still dealing with the social justice issue of if someone's prescribed the medication, for example, and that would show up in their bloodstream, it would not result in a firing, right?
I mean,
if they have a script for it.
No. If they have a prescription, right?
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And I'm saying that it's something that they would take to be able to work. We'd rather have them, function or whatnot.
Well, if they're under the care of a doctor.
Right, but the same would not be said for cannabis, and this is what I'm saying.
Well, I think that's changing, though, right? I mean, it is. It's not changing nearly fast enough. But, I mean, if you look at someone, a big organization like Amazon that doesn't test for marijuana any longer,
that's fine.
That's significant.
I was reading an article about the motor companies that were having a hard time finding employees, so they were going to eliminate the marijuana results from their drug tests. So I guess it is moving in a positive direction, but I get the point where, you can have somebody that has a prescription, quote unquote, for a medication.
Oh, I get it.
Perhaps they're misusing it. taking. They might have a prescription for something, but they're buying extra of it from somebody else.
Yeah, could
and
be.
taking more of it. So it's I mean, it can be dangerous to do that as well. And,
I mean, it's silly that we're talking about this because, when a company is lacking in place because so many people might have it in their system that immediately excludes them, that they have to change that policy, it tells you it's a bad policy, right?
Of course.
It's excluding it, and then if and when they do change it, is there evidence that, if there was data, we would know about
No,
it? Like
because if that's, everybody always said that it was because of insurance. But I think that when you have all the companies doing this, the insurance problem goes away because the market changes, right?
Yes. Here's my concern, though, and this is really something that is a real situation that's happening right now. Tom, you weren't privy to this earlier, but we were talking about the testimony of these bills, 5301, this past week, the attempt to really, I wouldn't even call it amend. It would be like tear apart and minimize and
it is like
vitiate.
It's the worst case. It's the worst case
of the Michigan, of the 2008 ballot initiative, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act.
Yep. Which
incidentally started out with this people that state of Michigan declare that cannabis is medicine. In other words, it's no longer Schedule 1. That was the first thing out of the gate.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of the messaging, and we can talk for a second just to make sure that the messaging that I'm talking about is attributed to certain specific groups and individuals in such a way that it reminded me of circa 2011, Bill Schuette, altogether now, fuck Bill Schuette, FSE.
Fuck Bill Schuette.
FSE. Where were you, Jim? Come on.
Hashtag FBS. Fuck Bill Schuette.
There we go. And Shelley, I think Shelley was calling to be the same thing. Boo on Shelley. You know what I mean? She was. Listen, you almost see her like cringe. And that she went to that, like
what did you expect?
She might as well have pulled some shit out of Reefer Madness.
What did you expect?
What do I expect? I'll tell you what I expected. I'm going to tell you this.
You didn't expect that.
Jessica Cooper did the same thing. The chill.
They're politicians.
I'm telling you, listen to me. Jessica Cooper leading the way about pounding on care. I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that 45,000 doctors, recommended that their patients smoke marijuana.
Right.
This is,
I remember.
And her big thing was, we have to do something about this for the children.
The children.
This is like Mein Kampf shit. You know what I mean? Like, we got to just pick a. Seriously.
I know it is. I totally get it, man. But
we have to always wean out the children.
Yep. At the end of the day.
And they did. Shelley Egerton did that. She said, we just want to regulate it. We don't want to get in the hands of the children.
But we knew that was going to be their narrative. We knew it. And that's always been their narrative. It's a baseless narrative.
My point is this. This is my point.
There's no data.
There's no data. There's nothing proven.
Of course not.
And the idea that they're trying to get safety. First of all, let's talk about this for a second. The idea that all of a sudden it's a concern of Shelley Egerton as she sits there about testing caregiver product. We talked about this when she was in charge when they were bringing in caregiver product to the registered system, which instantly saved the MMFLA. But she was also in charge of part of the institution when caregivers were there.
But it's not her. I mean, that's
I know that. But I'm just saying to you. I'm saying to you this that one of the major issues was all of those legislators that were on that panel were not there 4 years ago, 2 years ago.
No.
They don't know the shit show that we went through.
But it still doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, the MCMA has their ear, and I'm
saying, listen, let me make my one point. I'll let you go. I probably have to make this. The only way that the MCMA wins this is to have a narrative that cannabis is dangerous.
Yep.
And it needs to be regulated.
But that's
and only through these methods can you get rid of the caregivers and save the children and regulate. But what they're really saying is, we want it all. You know what I mean? Because it's not based on data. There's nothing to say that children are getting it, that anything's happening, and.
But we know what it's based in, and that is what people need to hang their hat on. And the community had a great showing in Lansing, and I saw lots and lots of letters on the record, and all of that is really positive. But the long and short of it is, and we've talked about this the last week, that these folks have a shitload of money. and they are working behind the scenes to do some shit. And that's just how politics works. And we're going to start seeing things like news stories. It's already started. And they're going to paint the caregivers in a bad light. Michael, you say the narrative they need is that marijuana is dangerous. I disagree. I think the narrative that they're trying to achieve is that the caregivers are dangerous. And I think that is much more damaging. And we have to be really vigilant. And we have to make sure that they can't shine a light on any specific instances. And I mean, I don't know of any. But that, I'm sure, is what their play is going to be, 100%.
They'll start looking at every single home grow, that like every like fire that, you know, potential, you know, like every once in a while there's a blasting blow up, you know what I mean? They'll take every single one of those things and blast them everywhere again.
Yep. And we just need to be there with the evidence, and we need to continue the strong showing, because this truly, it's a solution in search of a problem. And all you're going to do is really, at the end of the day, is A, take marijuana from people that need it. And B, you're going to increase the size of the black market, because the idea that that somehow these people are going to be able to move into the regulated market and get all the marijuana they need it's unrealistic.
Yep.
You know what's really interesting? The MCMA showed up with their own bills that they made, with their own report that they did by themselves, interviewing their own, people about this. And I kind of wonder if trying to remember, Jamie, what was that? Some companies care about. What was it? What was the thing? Because I feel like this is the divide right now. I think like anyone, whether anyone cares really about the economy of things, the idea that if anyone that has ever ingested cannabis prior to its legalization, I think has got to have some heart a little bit with the idea of the caregiver. I mean, just as a falling out, because how else would any of this go? But you know what I mean? Like, and it seems like only the people that are, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just a certain drive of it, and it goes with the territory of the business and whatnot. But I just, I wonder who has made this an issue? What is the reason to put all this energy into this one, fucking 75,000 people in the state of Michigan? I mean, how much money was spent to do that? No, it's not even that. It's for 75,000 patients of the 275. They're the ones that have a caregiver. How many, which is how many people? How many caregivers? 40 right now? 30,000? Jamie, what's the number? I don't remember.
30 something maybe.
30,000? Here's something else I worked out. I spent a lot of time doing this instead of other stuff. The MRA, this is going to be my rant. It's 9:57, it may be 4 minutes. Just hear me out here.
Backwards day.
We can shut it down.
Yeah. I remember those times.
It's entitled, The New Phone Books Are Here. The new phone books are here. The new definition of marijuana goes into effect October 11th, 2021, from the new bulletin from the Michigan Regulatory Agency, MRA. In essence, in broad strokes, these comments specify that the Delta 8 THC or THCO acetate can't be sold or given away unless by a state licensed operator. The details are worse in that it redefines or amends the definition of marijuana, which was displaced from the Controlled Substance Act upon the passage of the federal hemp bill. From December of 2018, the hemp bill was signed into law. It removed hemp, defined as cannabis, sativa, L, and derivatives of cannabis with extremely low concentrations, less than 0.3% dry weight delta THC, from the Controlled Substances Act. I mean, the idea was that the old definition in the Federal Controlled Substances Act was marijuana is any part of the cannabis sativa L plant, not to include the mature stalk and some other shit. Then it became cannabis sativa L is hemp, and those parts that are 0.3% or greater are now marijuana. And that was the definition in Michigan. And it was in conflict with probably 2 or 3 other definitions that existed at the time. And MRTMA was passed, and there was a hemp bill that was passed, and the hemp bill reasserted that. The MRTMA law created some confusion with that, but the amendments here and all that, they redefined marijuana to mean all parts of the plant, genus cannabis. Marijuana is now all parts of the plant, genus cannabis, growing or not, the seeds of the plant, the resin extracted from any part of the plant, and every compound you can think of, any manufactured salt, derivative, mixture, or preparation of the plant, or its seeds, or its resin, including marijuana concentrates and marijuana-infused products. Everything. Marijuana does not include the mature stalk of the plant, fiber produced from the mature stalks, oil, or cakes from the seeds of the plant, or any other compound, manufactured salt, or mixture, all right, preparation of the mature stalk. So, the bulletin, of course, proclaims, effective October 11th, it's illegal for businesses to manufacture, possess, transfer, inventory, sell, or give away Delta-8 THCO acetate without proper licensing and approval from the MRA. And also, this is the most remarkable thing, and this seems to be a trend in lawmaking. There's a law in Texas that came out that I was reminded of. I didn't know agencies were doing this, but the MR Bulletin encourages the ratting out of those who are unaware or ignore this change in law. Unlicensed commercial productions or sale of Delta-8 THC or THCO acetate can be reported to the MRA by emailing them at this particular email.
Is that like a narc line?
It's like a narc line.
You know, the narc line, when you call the MRA, when I call to actually get a hold of someone to ask a question, and I'm a licensed facility owner, there's the narc line before I even get to my option. It's like the narc line's 3, and I have to wait for 4. I got to wait through the narc line. You're like, I'm not.
If you're calling about the narc line,
Every call, they're tempting you.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
If you're calling about the narc line, hit 1.
Yeah.
If you want to hit number 2, that'll work for the narc line too.
Yeah.
So all right. So this is the. I mean, I referenced the Texas law, which I think is just, it's kind of bizarro, but, paying citizens to just, I don't know, report on the, I think we're getting a weird place. I don't care what the subject matter is. I just think it's a crazy place. And of course, none of this would or should be an issue because the state of Michigan is involved with and licensing the sale of marijuana to the tune of $110 million monthly. And that's over $1 billion a year, suggesting it is not a Schedule I controlled substance or it could not be a controlled substance, period. MRTA is often referred to as regulate and tax marijuana like alcohol, and its purposes and intent is unequivocally to legalize the use of this marijuana for adults over the age of 21. It also intends to make industrial hemp legal under state law and to control the commercial production and distribution of marijuana under a system that licenses, regulates, and taxes the business. The intent is to prevent arrests and penalties for persons possessing and cultivating of marijuana of adults, 24 years of age or older. Remove the commercial production and distribution of marijuana from the illicit market. So it doesn't want to arrest. It doesn't say we don't want to arrest people for commercial activity. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. This is it wants to eliminate and remove commercial production, distribution of marijuana in the illicit market. Not saying that if we want to stop it and we're going to do so by arresting people. In fact, that would be totally illogical if, in the sentence above, the intention is not to arrest people and we're intending to eliminate the commercial market and the way we're going to do it is by arresting people. That would seem to be completely illogical. But that's what this really is about because the controlled substances, which marijuana still remains. And the point I'm making is that all of this is about it being a controlled substance. Controlled substances are not available to all persons for any reason just because they're over the age of 21. Controlled substances, by definition, are prescribed by a physician. Michigan is licensing the sale of cannabis, a controlled substance, to persons, not necessarily physicians, although a physician can get a license, but not because they're a physician, but because they're qualified for other reasons. Who qualify for license? The concept that the state of Michigan is licensing, taxing, and regulating the sale of any controlled substance, think about this,
especially a Schedule I,
to adults over the age of 21 is illogical.
Yeah. It's still Schedule I in Michigan.
In the law, you know what they call this? They call it a no rational basis. And I'm going to quote from a lawsuit we filed on behalf of John Sinclair, in which we cited this case from 1972 that's still good law. It's the People versus John Sinclair. And in our brief where we demanded the state to unschedule marijuana, Marijuana must be removed from the controlled substance list altogether. It is unconstitutional under Michigan law to treat marijuana the same as opioids. People versus Sinclair, 387 Mich. 91. That's a reference to the Michigan Supreme Court. Even opium, a hard narcotic, and the root of opioid epidemic is a Schedule 5 drug when sold in small concentrates. And there's no rational basis to classify marijuana with hard narcotics. It now must be classified below Schedule 5, and no such schedule exists. Marijuana must be descheduled. And it should not be considered a harmful drug. A drug shall be dispensed only as a prescription under the control of licensing pharmacists or prescribers who maintain records for the dispense of these drugs and records, etc. The legislature unequivocally has chosen not to go this route with marijuana. You see what I'm saying? Like the law doesn't, so it's still a Schedule 1 or 2, which still, if it's either one of those, it can't be both.
Yeah.
It can't be dangerous and addictive and no medical use.
And it certainly can't be sold to anybody over the age of 21.
My whole point that I'm trying to get to is that they can only do this kind of shit if it remains Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, okay? And the idea that it still remains in my thing tonight is that it's still in this danger zone that's perpetuating these regulations. Here, we're making a facade out of the Delta 8, Delta 10. Do people get high from it? What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't
But again,
even
point to the impact.
There's no, listen, for 40 years they've been shitting all over marijuana. Biggest lie ever told. Here we are. Now the state's making $110 million a month, and in 10 seconds they're going to just decide Delta 8, Delta 10, or schedule what?
Right.
It's not even scheduled. Then it's a thing. So anyways, so the times that we're living in here, and the soon amended definitions of marijuana, cannabis, that will exist without a rational basis. The definition can't be reconciled in any way. What we're talking about here, that it is, first of all, redefining it as the plant as we just described it, and furthermore, that it's still being regulated or punished as a Schedule 1, Schedule 2. And it's troubling that the state is now encouraging this kind of behavior when the theme of the law that they're enforcing, that they're benefiting from, specifically states we don't want to arrest people and we're not going to arrest people, and the intent of this law is not to allow that to happen. Yeah. All right, so we know the biggest lie ever told was that cannabis is Schedule 1, and we're still, this is my point, for 40 years, and John Sinclair, of course, who we failed to mention, but I'll come back to. And his case, of course, represents the illogical, crazy laws in the state of Michigan, which ultimately were deemed unconstitutional, and ultimately began the hash bash, which is the longest-running protest of the illegality of marijuana. But through those 40 years since then, building into the structure of our society, the perceived danger of cannabis goes so deep. It goes so deep that, like, Shelley Egerton, who, she had to make a choice ultimately. She's a lawyer, and I get that she's got to advocate for her client, and, maybe she questioned whether it's a punch below the belt by doing that, because she knows it's not that. And I'm sure she had to make that choice at some point. Am I going to go there or am I not going to go there? But the question of whether she could go there or not is because we've had 40 years of it being built in, and there's people that their ears hear that, and whether it's true or not, it's just going to move them. You know what I mean?
Well, plus they're all financially motivated.
I'm saying to you though, they may very well be that. But if they make the pitch and it makes sense to people, they're able to do that, they could get these laws passed. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. They're trying to talking point this into, that makes sense, and they got data and blah 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 blah. And but the point is that you have legislatures here that haven't lived through the evolution of medical cannabis, which was an antagonist at first, and then ultimately overwhelmingly supported, withstood all this attack from Schuette and the legislature, the police, and whatnot. And turns out what? State of Michigan legalized it. Yeah. Crazy, right? Yeah. No one from within that.
Where you at now, Schuette?
No one within those three branches of government would have ever done that, right? The people had to do it.
Yeah.
And now that they did it, what's going on? $110 million windfall every fucking month.
Yeah.
I mean,
how about it? Pot for pothole, say.
And the idea that we begin this, implementation of what tax and regulate means, which is really a vague concept. It really is. And a lot of it's driven by the access to the market. A lot of the fault, I think, goes to the cities not opting in and creating a less, Kalkaska's a unique place. If you weren't there early, a lot of, I'm sure there's very little inventory left, just like the other places. And if it is, people are, it's been bought and sold a couple times. They're trying to make, all the properties inflated and whatnot. Timing is everything, they say. And in those situations, it's, I think these situations, it's even more so. But, but I'm not knocking the principle. I think everyone voted for tax regulate. We knew that was the thing. This is how we're going to get over it, but we don't know what it was going to look like. And I'm saying that, the more fear that's created or pulled out of the folklore irrationally, and the more legs it's going to have to be of concern for regulations, you know what I mean? And inviting of regulations. I don't know that every city's doing that. A lot of times when the state licenses facilities, they will give great deference to the city's approach to it, and let them, since they're the ones that have to opt in, they can call out of the shots. And some cities have gotten really more difficult and, use it as an opportunity to get sidewalks fixed up and, just call all the shots and, just get some money out of you. But still, it's limited, and they can do that and get away with it because they may be the only game in town, So there's a negative there of what's happened to tax regulation, which I think has been driven by that. But nonetheless, it's crazy, right? Because we've all lived through this for 12 years. We've fought this, day one, day two. We've educated people, moments in history where, this legislator saw something remarkable, the oil situation. What's that famous situation? Who was it? What's her name?
Huh? What's her name?
One of her coffee meetings, she had a kid there that had epilepsy, took the oil.
Come
on.
Well, there were several. Carter? Are we talking about Rebecca Brown?
I'm talking who was the legislature that it changed her entire view of medical cannabis?
Oh,
and
right.
She became a spokesman.
The legislator. Yeah, that was Oakland County. What was her name? Eileen Kowal.
And she was going to get the bills, right? She led that charge. And then
initially she did.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but my point was, though, that was a moment.
Great.
Right. That was a... Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, she was actually somebody who I happened to be working for a local paper there at the time, and I was from Highland originally. In all honesty, she's the very first Republican I ever voted for.
No, he's there.
Because it was like some kind of thing about she understood it in that capacity at least, and that was a big step for me.
Well, she turned on us.
Finish the story a little bit.
Did she really? I know.
Before it gets voted on.
I know.
Pressure from the Sheriff's Association.
It blows me.
Well, that was so hard there with all those guys. Fucking Bouchard.
No, that's a famous story in Michigan folklore. They should promise everyone did everything they're supposed to. Money was given, bags were exchanged, everyone got what they wanted.
It was done.
It was done, and here comes Bouchard threatening her political career. It's not a pretty sight, and
it shows you just how much weight Michael Bouchard really pulls.
Well, the police in general, the sheriff's associations, and these.
100%.
It's
Oakland County's been rough.
Yeah.
They have. But my point is, even going through all of that, there was experiences and moments where people changed, and they talked about, you go back years. Like I remember the story, the heroic story of the lawyers that were part of NORML. There was like a NORML list was like, they go out of some hodunk town and represent some guys that got caught growing, and they would with a no winning case, argue about medical marijuana, and just try to if they could even get it in. And it might touch like the bailiff. When somebody goes home for dinner, he'll talk to his wife about it, and say, this kid's, and you got, your sister's got cancer, maybe, what I mean, just to like plant those seeds out there. It was like we're talking 70s and 80s, and all the cases, people getting taken down, so there's always that like little, sprinkling the stuff, and that was taking place. We had a wide, strong group of activists, all fighting. It's easy to unify, much easier to unify about medical cannabis and patients' rights and care, and it's gotten much more complicated now. But I'm just saying, these bills introduced are by people that, are playing an old record that we threw out, you know what I mean? And the legislatures are uneducated about it. That's my concern. And they have not been there and lived through it like we all have. It's almost like we got to do this shit again. Like we got to, children. we're going with that now. I mean,
well, it shows you they have the power now. I mean, not power, but you know what I mean, the ability to kind of do what they're doing.
And that's my concern when you're talking about $1 billion business. Let's be honest. If there was a Forbes top 20, Andrew Brisboe would be in the top 5, and the agency would be like in the, one of the winners. And they went from they went from zero to
hero,
$1 billion.
Yeah.
And what legislator's going to say? What legislator's going to say? Tax and regulate. Okay, we're going to go. That sounds like a good plan here. That one. Let's keep doing that or whatever. I don't know.
That's true.
That's my rant ramble. It was on the other side of it. I promised Steve we'd be done at 10. Let's give it up for Tom for showing up and putting up with this stuff. Seriously, I can't.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to Saturday.
Me too, Tom.
No changes to the MMMA. I mean, that whole thing. We should not be opening that up at all. It's I don't understand why the MMFLA or MRTMA is any more important and supersedes the rights of people to have what we all voted for, and kind of started not technically. I mean, technically started this whole movement towards normalization of cannabis, and people that have been there working for for ages, just see through all the crap, and they don't support anything that people are going to end up going into jail. So that's what's going to happen.
That's exactly.
Throwing people back in jail again.
Yep.
It's like but it's legal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it's crazy. I mean, I just
it's nuts. I think it's.
I mean, listen.
Listen.
I'm not trying to put a negative spin on it. Listen, there's a lot of great things that are happening. There's fewer
It's
raids.
another reason for us to gather
Yeah.
on Saturday
Yeah.
and continue
Right.
the whole camaraderie and the spirit
day.
behind cannabis and reducing the stigma one event at a time.
That's right. That's right. Even if they made me jump through a bunch of hoops to do this, but that's for another day.
There's a roach containment plan.
Hoop.
So
Yeah.
thank God it was
My wife
approved.
Got to know how to hoop it.
They don't change the rule. You still have to have the fire building services report at the park, and also a facility inspection, which what quite probative
Everybody's
and uncomfortable for me. Just kidding. But it was. It's over. It's done. So we were excited about it. And Tom, I can't listen. I really appreciate you. I feel like I knew you before I met you, and I'm glad I got a chance to hang out with you on some of these times that we've been talking and stuff. And I am really excited. Big fan of Pink Floyd, and I'm a big fan that you guys wanted to be part of this, man. I really, that's.
We want to continue doing it. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I think it makes the most sense, and it's great working with you. And I really appreciate everything you've done to make this happen too, Michael. Highly appreciated. And I'll see you maybe Friday. We'll be there Friday night at Blazers, and see you Saturday.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Thank you again. Anyone else want to say anything as we go out? Jamie, Rob, as I've gone 15 minutes over, and Steve's again not talking to me some more.
I'm just excited to be a part of it. I mean, it'll be great. Nice to see y'all there.
All right.
Make sure you're giving out those CBDers.
Shut it down.
All right, we're shutting it down. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on Canna Jam
Canna High
Fest
noon.
Saturday.
Yes.
All right, take care.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Before you plead, call me, Attorney Michael Komorn.
An important and historical farm crop in American agriculture is returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.
Come on now.